I don't know if I'm pissed off enough right now to do this. Whenever I'm angry enough to do this, I don't look put together enough to do it, and then I put myself together enough and I'm not upset. It's probably good. Okay, so I don't have a script for this. I have uh, two journals and a planner worth of notes. I have my phone full of screenshots. I'm overthinking it because I have a camera on. It's just like talking in the mirror, right? I'm gonna try and tell you a story. So last June, I broke up with my first partner. Nope, that doesn't feel right. I've told this story 100 times. Why is this harder? My birthday is June 9. I planned a week-long camping trip for my birthday. We used to do this when I was a kid, and I haven't gone camping in a really long time. I was with my first serious romantic partner, in theory at least, looking at houses, talking about children. Things felt stable. I've really struggled with stability my whole life. I was raised by abusive jerks who hit me and, such. When I got with my partner, I told him what my childhood abuse history looked like. He knew that if he struck me in anger, I would leave. I told him this as a rule that I'm giving into the universe, right? If you hit me, it doesn't matter how I feel. It doesn't matter if I want to stay. It doesn't matter. I'm putting it into the like a video game, right? Like into the source code of the universe that if you strike me, I am going to leave you whether or not I want to. He knew this. I think we call that foreshadowing. Dog's over here now. Dog's over there now. Dog's over there now. So I planned a camping trip for my birthday. Thousands of dollars gearing myself and my partner up. I had a stable job, and I'm thinking once I get all of our camping gear, this is a free hobby basically. I camped a lot as a kid, but my family had a boat and I don't have a boat. So I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to get myself out there again. I haven't gone in a really long time and I love camping. It was really important to me. Additionally, it's for my birthday. There's no holidays in June, right? So I like to use my birthday as an excuse to get out and do like a week-long camping trip. One previous year, I managed to get it lined up with a new moon. And so my friends and I did a new moon ceremony. We didn't really plan much of anything, but new moon kind of symbolizes rebirth, new beginnings, letting go of the past, looking to the future. One of my friends brought like this enormous crystal that they had, and I wore like a silly outfit and I wove myself like a little crown of leaves first, carried the crystal into the very cold lake and submerged. It was so cold, but it was really cool, right? It was a good experience. When I arranged this trip, I was trying to hit my birthday and a new moon. My partner at the time, foreshadowing, who's never been camping, who's never left the city, he's never seen the stars. When I was in high school, we had a Japanese exchange student and we took her out to a remote lake in Oregon and showed her the stars. She'd never seen them because she lived in big cities her whole life, and she was just astonished. She's trying to take photographs. I wanted to give him the same experience. I thought that would be really fun. I had a lot of visions in my head of cooking marshmallows, swimming in the lake, teaching him to set fires, put up a tent, hiking all the time. I had a whole week where I didn't have to do anything. My biggest responsibility is keeping myself from getting murdered by mountain lions. Foreshadowing. We were going to go up to this lake. You have to reserve this campsite in advance. You can't just show up. And there's only one campsite at the whole entire lake. You have to hike up to it, and there's only one spot. You can't just camp wherever you want. There's one spot, and that's it. So I managed to get this spot reserved for my birthday week months in advance. I think I did this in like January, February or something. I was so excited. You can do it online. Call a human person, and they have a whiteboard calendar on the wall like this. They would have to write in your name. And that, it was so much work. It was so much work to get all of this organized. I invited tons of people and nobody could make it. One of my friends was going to come up. Guess I should give her a name because she's going to come back later. My friend Sonia was going to come up on my actual birthday and hang out with us for like the last couple days of the trip and then come down with us. And I was really looking forward to that. But until then, it was just going to be me and my partner alone, which was also pretty exciting. I've never done a trip like that. I was really excited. It was like kind of baby's first backpacking trip. It's like a 4-mile hike up to the campsite, which isn't nothing. And it's quite a bit of an elevation gain, honestly. But like we've done 13 miles recreationally without trying before, just kind of wandering around in a day. If we can do 13 miles in a day without trying, without intending to, we can plan and prepare ourselves for a 4-mile hike. Foreshadowing. I think the first hint I had that something was going to go wrong was some video game, Diablo or whatever. I don't remember what was happening. We're driving in the car or we're doing something and he's fucking around his phone as per usual. Oh, Diablo is doing a or whatever it was, is doing some alpha test thing on this date, this weekend, and I immediately was like, that's the weekend, that is the week we're going to be camping. That's the exact camping dates. And this was like a couple weeks in advance, right? His face just... This man was such a fucking child. This dude ran idle games on his computer 100% of the time. I had to work from home, and our desks were like, you know, back to back, and then we would like face them. There was always idle games, at least one idle game constantly running on this dude's computer. And sometimes he'd run like Twitch streamer and he would just let it go. I would be working and I would hear voices and sometimes I'm in meetings and shit, I'd be like, is this somebody in the meeting? Is this somebody outside the apartment? What is happening? It would turn out the voices are just his Twitch stream because he would leave the volume on while his computer plays video games for him. What the fuck stage of capitalism is it when cookie clicker ass shit becomes an actual genre of games? There's no point. It's just number go up. Number go up makes you feel like you're accomplishing something, and then you end up as a fucking 40-year-old man who is neglecting his actual romantic relationship because he wants to number go up harder. Foreshadowing. I made tea and I forgot to drink it. So the first hint I had something was going to go bad was that beta week, alpha week, whatever, public test. It's an advertising campaign, dude. It's an advertising campaign. Oops, there go my glasses. Anyway, I told him that was the same week we're gonna be camping. His face falls and I was immediately thinking, this fucking guy is gonna ruin my camping trip. This relationship, I've been with this guy for 2 years. He's married. He told me he was divorced when I got with him and when I moved in with him. And then when I actually move in with him, I end up finding out he is not divorced, he is legally separated, which is not the same thing. He's also been separated a lot less time than what I kind of was imagining. I thought he'd been separated a while, but it turns out he's had 2 divorces, one that was quite a while ago and one that was like quite recent. Hadn't even happened. It's in the future. Hasn't even happened as I speak. Probably not. Who fucking knows? So he was still married to his freaking wife the whole time I was with him. There's a lot of stuff going on in the relationship that I was iffy about. I really wanted to see change and progress, but he was impossible to talk to. He would get really defensive. He would shout. He would accuse me of shouting if I'm using even like a slightly strong tone of voice. All the stuff that I've said right now, this would be like, oh, you're shouting. This is shouting. It's not shouting, dude. I can sing louder than this. Soft boy persona used to mask abusive tendencies, violent, explosive anger, fearful, avoidant ass shit. I was willing to, stay with him and work with him. I related to a lot of his struggles. I've had a really tough childhood as well. I wanted to stay with him and help him because I thought he was a nice guy. And I was kind of thinking, this is kind of a do or die for him. I have tried to show him pieces of myself. I had all these, like, I would have liked to go thrift shopping and let him pick out weird shit and I would try it on, and like vice versa. That's a fun activity. Look for stuff for our home that we're trying to supposedly build together. Wanted to take him swim. I had so much sexy swimwear that he never saw once, I don't think, because he wouldn't go friggin' swimming with me. We went to the pool one time and he dropped me off at the doors and then played Pokemon. Played fucking Pokemon while I went swimming alone. It was free. It was free swimming day. Ah! I just couldn't get him to do anything. And I was just thinking, like, if I can get him to do this, if he actually does it, if he actually goes with me and he goes camping and he disconnects from his stupid video games for a whole week, it would be like a detox for him, you know? His long camping trips make me feel like it resets me in a way that I like. Like, I get back into this, like, oh, geez, this is so luxurious. I don't need all this shit. Breaks me out of capitalism, I guess, in some ways. Grounds me in reality. I miss camping so much. And I was so excited to give him that, to offer him this experience he hasn't had before. Just connecting and reconnecting, I guess. I wanted to have all these first-time camping experiences with him that he hadn't had. Staying in the tent when it rains and listening to the raindrops hitting the tent's rainfly. You know, chopping up firewood and feeling powerful. Starting fires and swimming in the water. Finding weird rocks deep in the water. Diving down to try and collect them. One time we were camping, my dog found a turtle. That was wild. It was a huge turtle. Tortoise, I guess. It was on the land. It was wild. I thought it was a rock at first. It's just a really good experience, and I thought I could share that with him. So I thought that if he would actually go with me, it would be a really good turning point for him. And if he doesn't go with me, if he chooses to ruin this trip, then that's a really good signal to me that I need to leave this relationship. So I didn't say anything. We didn't really talk about that because we didn't really talk about almost anything. Because anytime I tried to talk about anything, he would get angry and then exit the conversation. If I talked about anything more real than whatever Blizzard, the corporation, is doing in a positive sense, if I try to talk about them blocking their union, monopolizing their fucking company with mergers that shouldn't happen, or any of that, then he would get deer in headlights. Oh, my video game is bad? Impossible. The next red flag that I totally ignored was like days before the camping trip. Like 1 or 2 days before it, something like that. And I was assessing my gear, packing and repacking my bag, trying to determine, do I want this shirt or is it not worth the wait? Trying hard to finish and get ready. And he is playing video games still. He would get off work way before me and he would come home and just play video games for hours. And when I got off work, he would try and talk to me usually about video games. And then he would continue to play video games until I went to sleep. Sometimes he would come to bed with me, but usually he would continue playing video games and take little naps on the couch occasionally. So much video games. I still feel like I never want to see another video game in my fucking life. Yeah, the next red flag was a couple days before the trip, and I am packing and repacking my bag, making sure I've got all my stuff ready, testing the weight, checking my fucking gear for the week-long trip we're planning to do in like a matter of days, right? And he's playing a fucking video game, and he has this mannerism of pompously sniping over at me. Why are you still doing that? You should stop doing that. It's fine. And I'm like, we're gonna go in a couple days. Like, I want to make sure it's okay. I'm trying to figure out all my stuff. And he's like, you seem like you're stressed out or something. I don't remember what the fuck he said. But I was like, yeah, camping trip is difficult. And he was like, well, let's just not go then. And he presents this as though it's a delightful and genius answer that I'm gonna jump on. No comprehension at all that working hard for the thing is not a reason to give up on the thing. That's I'm working hard in it because I want to do it so bad. I think I tried to explain that to him. I'm working hard because the camping trip is the payoff for all this work. Are you sure your bag is ready? Are you packed? Are you prepared? And he continues playing video games. Yeah, it's fine. He didn't want to go do grocery shopping for the camping trip until the day of, when he actually starts trying to put together his bag. We do groceries on the way to the place, and he's buying the most ridiculous shit. His bag was not packed well, and I know it wasn't packed well. And if you brought him in here right now and asked him if his bag was packed well, he'd be like, it was fine. We get there. We are a little bit later than I'd like to be. It's like 1 p.m. or something, but it's summer. It doesn't get dark until like 9 p.m. here at that time of year. So, big deal. We have like 8 hours to do a 4-mile hike. I think we can handle this. And plus he has a headlamp, and my tent is so easy to set up. This is not a problem. It's a 4-mile trail. We can leave most of the food in the car, just take the stuff that's for tonight and tomorrow morning. But he's brought like perishables. If he brought like a whole jug of orange juice, I would not be surprised. I don't remember what he had. I'd brought some bananas that I was just going to put on the top of my backpack, and he got huffy at me for getting bananas. I am aware that that's going to be a little extra weight. I'm aware that they go bad. I have a handle on what I'm doing here, dude. Just wants to project the lack of preparedness onto me instead of actually preparing himself. Anyway, we get there. We put our bags on, I guess. Oh, he couldn't find his sleeping bag stuff sack. How did you lose it? He found it in the car, thankfully, put his sleeping bag together, but then instead of repacking his bag so that the sleeping bag is inside of his bag like it's supposed to be, he loosely strapped it onto the outside of his bag with like one strap. And he had this camp chair that he insisted on bringing, and he strapped that on with like one little strap too. And so they were like flopping around as he's walking, and I'm trying to be like, put your sleeping bag inside the bag or whatever. When we were at the car, I said this, and he's like, no, it's fine. Okay, I can't force you to fix your bag, but... Okay, so we get there, we pay for the camping site. It takes forever to get all the paperwork or whatever out of the way. They give us a map, they give us some bear spray, they talk to us about all of the stuff. They plan to come check up on us at certain times. It was great, and they gave us a place to stick the car, which was also great. So we get all of our stuff and we start heading up there, and I've got hiking poles, so I had him holding the dog. I asked him if he wanted a hiking pole, and he didn't want to use the hiking poles. I offered to take the dog and give him the hiking poles, and he did not. I think the first thing that happened was that he was pulling the dog too fast. This does not need to be a speed hike. This can be leisurely. Again, we have 8 hours to do 4 miles. We have so much time. He is yanking the dog along. She's dragging behind him, and I was like, please walk slower. The first couple times I asked him, he would just, no, I'm not going too fast. It's fine. She's fine. No, dude, you're pulling her. Please stop doing that. And then he angrily takes her leash and throws it into the bushes. And I had to go get it, obviously. And by the time I fished it out of the bushes and I have the dog back on leash and attached to me and ready to go, he's way up the trail. Does not wait for me. And that was the point when I knew this was not going to go well. I guess that's when the anxiety started to kick in. I can tell he's upset. He's not trying to have fun. He's pissed. I don't understand this mentality of being angry in silence, hating people about a thing that you haven't told them about. I shouldn't have left that relationship ages before this happened. I am so fucking stupid. Okay, not stupid. Trusting. Optimistic. So he kept walking very quickly on the trail. I was never really able to get breaks. He would sometimes stop to get a break for himself, wait for me to catch up with him, but then the moment that I got within earshot of him, he would turn and start walking again before I could speak to him, before I could get a chance to rest for myself. And so either I would have to stop and rest for myself and lose him on the trail, or just keep walking. So I just kept walking. I didn't have any breaks. I just kept going and going and going and going, trying to keep up with him. There was one spot where there was a picnic table and he actually stopped for real. I was able to stop with him and get a little break and drink some water and stuff. At that point, he had his phone out and he was trying to see if he could get signal to play fucking video games. While he had been waiting for me to catch up with him, he was walking around different areas seeing where he could get the best signal. I didn't have my phone. I did not take one single photograph of this forest, of the trail, of the waterfalls. I didn't even get to see the lake. Foreshadowing. The trail was so beautiful. There were tons of people out. The weather was perfect. And I was just so hyped at first. Like, it's so beautiful. I'm out here with like my cute dog. There's tons of people on the trails. It's safe and clear, gorgeous weather. Look at this beautiful river and falls on the trail, and he wouldn't stop to look at anything. Oh, you can see the river, look, and he didn't want to stop and look at anything. He just wanted to go, 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 go. The first mile, I think, probably up to the first mile marker, I was adjusting my bag very regularly. I repacked a couple times. I adjusted my straps a lot. I was constantly trying to get it comfortable, which I think is fairly fucking normal. And he, again, didn't want me to do that, didn't want me to stop, and got irritated with me. Wouldn't take any time to adjust his own equipment either. Let's see, now he's thrown the dog into the bushes, so now I've got the dog and the hiking poles, which is a little bit more than I had bargained for. I offer him the hiking poles again. He also does not want hiking poles. He is complaining, does not want to problem solve anything, just wants to complain. He continues walking at that rate. He continues walking so super fast. I'm trying to keep up with him. I have sweat just pouring off of me. The anxiety gradually increasing as I feel his emotions emanating off of him. At one point, as he's rushing ahead of me, I'm still unable to keep up with him. He stops, turns, and shouts into the forest, "I don't want to be here," roars it into the woods. I am speechless. Without waiting for any kind of response, he turns, shouts into the forest, and then just continues going on the trail. At this point, I think I really started to feel unsafe. Throwing the dog leash was a bad first sign, but the screaming into the forest like that made me feel this guy is not a safe person for me to be camping with. God fucking damn it. We walked in silence after that, and I am operating at maximum anxiety, going, what do I do? I don't want to leave. I worked so hard for this, and it's so beautiful out. The weather's fucking perfect, man. We crossed this little footbridge, and there's like a corner, some stairs up to the next landing, and I think he saw the stairs, and that's what set him off. He stops after the bridge. He goes, "I'm not setting another foot up this mountain." Okay, well, like, to start with, it's not a mountain. We're not climbing a mountain. We're going to a lake. There's a little bit of an elevation gain, yes, but we're not climbing a mountain. You're fine. 2, why? We were 2.5 miles up a 4-mile trail. We are more than halfway there. The weather's perfect. We have everything. I planned this for months, and he's just I'm not setting up another foot at this mountain. And he tries to present this like it's a boundary. This is a thing he does. He'll say something ridiculous. He makes a demand, calls it a boundary, and then refuses to discuss or compromise whatsoever. Drawing a boundary. What are you fucking talking about? We have been planning this for months. We are literally here. What the fuck? What the fuck? This is June 2, June 3. Where's my planner? This must have been June 3, 2023. I can't remember the exact order of operations of things that happened here. He stops after the bridge. He demands that we're not taking another step up the mountain. I'm like trying to talk to him about it. What the hell are you talking about? He says his bag is too heavy. I'm like, yeah, no shit. You packed it super poorly. Take your stuff off. I remember it felt like reality was just unraveling. I did a little spin on the trail. Every time I tried to like discuss with him, problem solve, he would start storming he'd start storming down the trail, not towards the lake, towards the fucking parking lot. And I was begging him to just fucking talk to me. I think I said, this is very important to me. I was holding the hiking poles and looking downhill at him as he's down the trail from me, and I am feeling reality unravel around me. I think I presented, do you want me to carry your things? Do you want me to I'll carry both bags. I heard the words, I'll do anything, leave my mouth. And that was when I knew that relationship was over. You can't have a relationship like that. He wouldn't budge. He wouldn't compromise, nothing. And I said, pleading, begging, this is really important to me. And he screams, I don't care. And he smashes his water bottle on the ground. One of those big, heavy-duty stainless steel double wall ones. And he just picked it up and smashed it and picked it up and smashed it over and over and over and over until it was just completely destroyed. And then he yelled at me for the water bottle like it was my fault. At one point, I remember him taking off his bag. I was like, oh good, he'll repack. And he just starts throwing things out of the bag at me, tent pieces and stuff. He says, you can just stay there by yourself and I'll come get you later. Can't camp safely alone. You have to have two people. That's kind of basic safety. And he wouldn't hear that. And he was giving me like all this stuff out of his bag, all the food, all the tent pieces, all the everything. And I was like, I can't carry all of this. And he goes, oh, isn't that rich? The tone of voice was just so hateful because I had offered to take everything when I was panicking. I was still panicking. And he's like, well, isn't that rich because you can't take everything? When he finally like abandoned his bag where I could actually get to it, he wouldn't let me repack it. He would not let me repack his bag. He wouldn't even let me look at it. I'm pretty sure it was like stuff full of heavy ass video games and power supplies and batteries, I'll fucking bet. I wasn't allowed to like repack the actual backpack, but I took off the sleeping bag and the stool that he'd been flopping around the entire 2.5 miles, and I put them on my backpack and I strapped them down carefully so they wouldn't flop around. So I get my whole bag set up with his extra gear on my bag, which was already so heavy my scapulas were getting bruised. I know the bag is heavy, but I would have kept going. So I get his sleeping bag and his stool strapped onto my bag with all of the stuff that I already had for myself. Very carefully, get the bag, up like you do, and I get everything clipped in, and I look at him, and I just looking at him, I didn't even say anything, and he just goes, no, 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 and he turns and runs, storms off down the mountain. After all that, I take your extra gear, and still you won't even consider trying to talk to me. All right, that's fine. So we left. We walked all the way down the trail. On the way down, I'm thinking like, I have to break up with this person, but I can't tell him yet, because he's gonna fucking kill me if I tell him right now. Foreshadowing. Talking to the park rangers at the base camp was very surreal. To tell them we just were straight up leaving. They tried to refund me my money because of the way it was done. It was gonna be a big deal. Big pain in the ass. I forgot to give them back their bear spray. I told them, I'm pretty sure this is causing a breakup. I can't believe he did this. Just absolutely just so beyond. It was still light out, too. We did 5 miles, and it was still light out. We left. He insists on driving my car. I'm not going to try and argue that at this point. He drives us to a strip mall and tells me that we're getting food here, and he just gets out of the car and leaves. I go across the mall, order some takeout, and then wander around a Home Goods while they do the takeout. I bought him a new water bottle to replace the one he smashed up. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I did that. When I get back to the car, he's playing video games in the car. I remember zero conversation. I kind of vaguely remember doing constant nervous chatter trying to salvage this somehow. Oh, well, that was a good test of our bags. It's nice to know that we have all of our things. It's good to know that it didn't work. It's, whatever. I tried so fucking hard. When we get home, he immediately goes into the room and plays video games in bed. I unpack the perishables, try to get everything put away in the kitchen. I get the dog put away. I unpack what I have of mine, feeling just empty. And when I go to bed, he wants to cuddle up on me, and I just let him. I cried myself to sleep. Sunday, June 4. When I woke up, I stayed in bed crying until 1:30. He did not speak a word to me. He got up out of bed and played video games. Played video games in bed, got out of bed, played video games. That's all he does. Goes between the bed playing video games, the couch playing video games, and the computer playing video games. I had talked to a bunch of friends. I talked to my boss, told him that my trip was not working out and I might just be back to work on Monday. My friends convinced me to go out with them to the Arboretum. I picked up Sonia, so I had to tell Sonia not to come up to the camping trip because we weren't going to be there. And so Sonia convinced me to go to the Arboretum with Connor and Connor's roommate, who I didn't really know very well. And they were playing frisbee when I got there. I ruined the mood. I ruined their frisbee mood and explained what had happened and threw up crying. And with Sonia and Connor, I ended up breaking it down to 3 points because I don't know what is reasonable for me to request here. I feel like a manipulative abuser by asking for change. I don't want to force someone to be something they're not, but I can't live like this. This is awful. So we broke out it into 3 points. Point 1 was get back into therapy. He'd quit therapy randomly. We were sitting in bed. He's playing video games as per usual, and he pauses the video games, calls therapist, cancels therapy to his therapist's voicemail, and then resumes playing video games. No discussion. I'm looking at him like, are you gonna explain that? And he didn't. He just, that if I ever tried to bring anything up, he would get so super defensive. He would leave conversations immediately and he would never come back to them, and it was terrible. So go back into therapy. It's the first step to getting things better. Point 2, we need to do couple therapy, which we talked about when we first got together, and he even suggested it, if I recall correctly, because we were both seeing therapists for various, I have PTSD from my parents punching me down staircases and stuff. So, it seemed like a good idea to just be in couple therapy together. And he just refused. I had really good insurance through my job, and I found a whole big list of therapists, and he wouldn't look at them with me. But I lost the list. He had such strict requirements about what kind of therapist he was and was not willing to talk to. So point 2, couple therapy. You can pick somebody out. I'll pay for it. Point 3, divorce your fucking wife. Divorce your fucking wife. This guy is fucking married, and he's been married the entire 2 years that I have lived with him. I didn't know he was married. He told me he was divorced, but he is not divorced. He is legally separated. That is a different thing. So get fucking divorced from your fucking wife. It's been 2 years. Are you even serious about me? What the absolute hell? Sonia took me out for dinner for her birthday, kind of. She and I very carefully composed a text message to him that was like, Sonia took me out to dinner. It was very important to her to say to him that she had taken me out while he's at home playing fucking video games, basically. Sonia took me out for dinner, and I talked to my friends about what happened on the hike. I would like to talk about what happened calmly and in depth. How are you feeling? His response was hungry, sore, IDK, just chillin', I guess. I get home finally, and he is still in bed playing video games. I take care of my evening chores. He also never closes the cabinets. He opens cabinets and just leaves them hanging open all of the time. So I close all of the cabinets, take care of the dog, get myself ready for bed. I ripped my nail during the camping trip. I think it was this nail. It's been just like extremely painful all day, but I didn't have any tools to fix it, so I went to go fix my nail. He says, "I hope you're all right," but he says it so quietly I had to have him repeat it 3 times while he's playing video games, of course. "You're all right. I hope you're all right." I said, "What? I hope you're all right." "Oh, well, no, not all right. I have spent the entire day crying. I have thrown up 3 times. I am exhausted. My head hurts, and I kind of just want to go to sleep right now." He uses this as an opening to just start going about how hard this was for him and how he wanted to quit at the first mile marker and how dare I plan a camping trip and he's going to need at least 2 weeks off work to recover from this trauma. On and on. Not even a single thing about I had worked really hard to plan this, that this meant something to me, that the weather was perfect. We were literally there. All this time and money and effort, and it's still not as good as fucking Diablo to you. Just nothing. Nothing acknowledging me, nothing acknowledging the dog, nothing acknowledging the trip, nothing acknowledging Sonia, who was supposed to come up and meet us. Nothing. It's all just about him. I said, "I cannot believe I came in here thinking you might apologize." And he goes, "Apologize for what?" And when I started to explain, ruining my camping trip, breaking your water bottle like it's my face, he laughs cruelly at me. And then I said, okay, fine, dude. Our lease is up in September. It's not true. I thought it was up in September. Foreshadowing. I worked out with my friends. We have 3 points for you. Point 1, get back into therapy. Point 2, he cuts me off again and he goes, "Don't give me ultimatums." And I was like, too bad. Ultimatums. Here they are. Get back into therapy. Get into couples therapy. Get divorced from your fucking wife. And he goes, "Get out of my bed." And I said, that's what I thought. Gathered up my books and I left. And as I'm exiting the room, he goes, "Only because you don't like it when I go sleep on..." Yeah, because you're exiting the fucking conversation, dude. Never again. I spent the next, 4 days on the couch? That was Sunday. Monday and Tuesday, I was out of the house pretty much all day looking for apartments. I'm looking for stuff that's available in September. And I'm thinking he can come with me or not. I'm going to get it arranged. We'll see where we're at in September, is what I'm thinking at this point. The way our apartment was arranged, you have to enter the building through a front entrance. Then there's a lobby where the mail is and a long hallway with entrances to everyone's apartments. You had to enter the front entrance through this complicated system of doors, but our back sliding door opened onto this horrible paved courtyard thing. And that had an emergency exit that was stairs that went into the parking garage. So I was able to enter and exit the apartment through that back door to avoid having to deal with him. So for Monday and Tuesday, I pretty much lived off the couch. Tuesday, I had therapy. So I talked to my therapist about everything that was going on, and she says to write him a letter to say all the things I wanted to say without being cut off and interrupted and projected on and yelled at and such. I did that. I wrote him a really long text message, and I sent that to him. I was intending to do more of a letter than that, but I don't know, I kind of ended up saying all the things I wanted to say, trying to really focus on, I am trying to save this relationship. Like, I love you. There's a lot of things about you I love that I really would like to try and maintain. But I don't like the way you're treating me. I need you to be serious about this right now and not be focused on video games. I'm being fucking serious. And I did not get any response to the text message whatsoever. On Wednesday, I was thinking, okay, well, I spent Monday and Tuesday out of the house all day. I didn't really give him a fair shot to come talk to me, did I? So on Wednesday, I stayed home the entire day. I made the couch not a bed anymore. I made it into couch mode. I set everything up. I watched videos that he could come over and watch with me. I tried to make myself as approachable as possible because he doesn't like it. He freaks out if I ever approach him ever. Then he never coordinate a specific time to talk about serious things. I am left with only the option of waiting for him to decide to do it, having to wait around indefinitely my whole life. It was such a bad fucking relationship. It was more than just this too. It was everything was like that. I had to be available constantly for him in hopes that he would choose that moment to take interest in me because I wasn't allowed to have any desires or ambition myself. Okay, so Wednesday, despite staying home all day, despite trying to make myself approachable, he does not say literally one single word to me the entire day. Hello, goodbye, good morning, what's up, nothing. Nothing all Wednesday. So on Thursday, I am pissed. I'm finally mad. Everything before that has been anxiety and fear and sadness. On Thursday, I am finally a little pissed. I'm like, he's talking to me today. I got sticky notes and I put sticky notes on his monitors. He had two big, huge monitors because of course he does. It's a big, flashy gamer computer. First sticky note says, talk to me. And the second note says, this is childish. Later, he would keep the one that says, talk to me, but not the one that says, this is childish. Just, foreshadowing. My tea is getting cold. Right. Thursday. Excuse you. I'm not letting her lick my feet. You have to pay for that. Freaks. It's tea. You don't like tea. You're a dog. Please do not puke on me. Do I look like a supervillain? This dog was here for all of it. It's a witness. So on Thursday, I'm mad. He hasn't talked to me at all on Wednesday. Did not say one single fucking word to me. So when I get up, busted in his door, he's gonna talk to me today. Well, bam! And he's still asleep. Oh, okay, sorry. I just unbust into his room. Come back later. I'm still mad, so I run around the rest of the apartment where the computers are, and he's got his idle game still going. I unplug his computer, I unplug my computer, I unplugged the TV, I unplugged everything with a cord that I could find. I was just pissed. I collected all of the loose video game shit, controllers, little consoles, whatevers, and put them in a basket and put the basket under the TV, which is kind of where they go if they were actually put the fuck away, but he never puts anything away. Was this a bad idea? Yes, this was a bad idea. But it's the day before my birthday. He's ignored me for 4 days straight after ruining my trip. I have tried everything. I tried to talk directly to him. I tried to give him time. I tried to send him a letter. I tried to let him approach me. I even let him cuddle me that first day. The response that I'm getting is so... I felt like I was dating a 4-year-old. I'm just disgusted. Eventually, I bust into the room again. Wha-bam! This time he's awake. He's laying in the bed playing video games because of course he is. I said, you need to talk to me. I'm gonna do the voice, but you gotta understand that it's just the most pompous... The king is being bothered by a peasant. How dare you? He goes, not like this. Excuse me. I said, it's been 4 days. Not like this. You need to talk to me right now. Not like this. And that's all he would say. Not like this. Not like this. And this weird pompous won't even look at me. Hands continue moving on the video game. Not like this. Not like this. Fuck off. Close the door on him, whatever, he's not gonna listen to me. What the fuck am I supposed to do here? He won't talk to me, and he can just stay in there. Oh, I'm sorry, am I yelling too much for you? You're not in trouble, you're a good girl. I'm not mad at you, we're just having an exciting story. Yeah, I'm still out in the apartment and seething, and just fucking powerless to do anything about it. My birthday's tomorrow, and this asshole's just playing video games. I think I sent a couple text messages. One of the things I said was, is it possible to be ghosted by somebody that you live with? I can't believe this behavior. I told them that I unplugged the computers, and I said, if I turn up dead later, that's why. Foreshadowing. Where are we at in this story? You don't care. You're a dog. He can just stay in his room and just play video games indefinitely. Is he going to do this for the whole rest of the fucking week? I used how much PTO to pay for this nonsense? This is just like the mindset, right? This is just the utter frustration of having done this for years with this guy. So with the disclaimer that he is a professional electrician and I could have like cut a hole in the wall and started snipping wires and he would have been able to fix it, I cut the power to the apartment, all the switches, boom. We did this all the time. We used this to control the heater in the apartment, which was broken, and the best way to turn it on and off was just to cut the power to it or turn it back on. So this was a pretty normal thing in this apartment. I turned off all of the power to the bedroom. I turned all the power, period. Hoping his batteries would run out, I guess, and then he would decide to come talk to me fucking finally. Oh, and I put my ultimatums on the whiteboard on our calendar board because he wouldn't hear me out, he cut me off when I was trying to tell him though, so I wrote it all down for him instead. Boy, that didn't work. I waited for like another hour or whatever, I don't remember. I waited again and he still didn't come out, so I busted in a third time. Well, bam! He's still in bed playing his fucking video games, a little blanket on his little lap, just has a little blankie and his video games in bed for the 4th day in a fucking row, 5th day in a row, 6th day in a row, if you count the day we went camping as a day that he sat in bed playing video games, because he kind of did. As we got home, he was right back to doing that. Five days straight of this shit. So this would be the 5th day, I guess. Regardless, what the fuck? 5 days straight, and I'm like, you need to talk to me. And he goes, not like this. And I'm like, no, like this. You have waited 4 days. You have ignored me. You've ruined my trip, and now this is how it's happening. Now it's like this. He just keeps saying, not like this, not like this. I'm like, okay, look, do you need me to throw a water bottle? Is that just how you communicate now? And he goes, don't bring that up. And I was like, oh, there happened to be a very similar water bottle just kind of on a shelf behind me. So I grabbed that and I hopped up on the bed like a little fucking cartoon character. He's like, don't you dare. And I tossed the water bottle down on the bed. This is a water bottle now. Like that. Bombed. It's a mattress with cushions all over it. It goes thump, and then he gets mad. How dare you? He puts down his video games to go for the water bottle is what I think happened. While his lap was free, I kind of yanked on the blanket that was there, and I guess he was fucking naked under that. I pulled on the blanket, but my brain was already elsewhere, and I don't know, but he reacted like he was completely naked, and I was someone other than his romantic partner who had been living with him and sleeping in the same bed as him and taking showers with him for 2 years. Oh, I'm not dressed properly. And I grabbed his, whatever the video games were there, whatever glowing rectangles I could snatch, and I skittered out of the room with him like a little fucking raccoon. My feet are cold. I don't know if that really counts as like a good look, but it's a look. I had like just enough time to toss everything into the basket. Screen is still on, sound's still going. I have not done anything to the video games. I did not lock them in a safe and dump it into the ocean. I have just enough time to push the basket in and turn around, and he comes out of the bedroom. I guess he put on pants is what the delay was. I'm not entirely sure. And he's really mad. How dare you take the video games? Where is the video games? Listen, you need to talk to me. You need to talk to me about your real relationship. I'm not going to tell you where the video games are until you talk to me. He doesn't want to hear it, so he goes to the computer. Now he sees the sticky notes. Now he notices everything's unplugged. Now he notices I've got the power. In retrospect, should I have done all those things? Probably not. It's like trying to talk to a fucking rock, try to provoke a response. He just doesn't want to talk about anything. He just, where are the video games? Where are the video games? I won't tell him. I'm sick of this shit. I was just done dealing with the drama of it all. He keeps asking, where are the video games? Where are the video games? He doesn't care at all about anything else. He doesn't want to talk to me. He just wants to know where the video games are. And I was like, no, I'm not going to tell you. At this point, I'd also like to know that he is standing in front of the basket. He's advanced on me, pushing me into like the couch area while he's standing directly in front of the basket with all of the video games in it. So I cannot give him the video games without going between his legs. And that's not gonna work. He gets up in my face. You'll hear a lot of people say his eyes go black. And it was that. It's not like the eyes literally go black, but there is an odd change to them that I cannot fully explain. He got up in my face. To me, what I was thinking was like high school drama class. We had this exercise. You have to go right up in the other person's face like that, eyes to eyes. And then you put your hands together, and then you do like a mirror, right? You try to walk around and follow each other. Like, he gets in my face, and my brain goes to that. What is he doing? I almost kind of like, do you want me to put my hands up? What are you doing? I don't know what he's doing at this point. Is he trying to break tension? Is he gonna give me a smooch? Is he trying to be funny? What is happening? I made that little noise. Like, what are you doing? When I make the noise, he grabs me by the throat and slams me into the wall. There must have been a twist in there. I don't remember the rotation happening, but it must have. Left hand like this, and his thumb was cutting in, and then the right hand was on top, pushing the thumb in. He held me against the wall. There was one of those little low wall heaters, so I couldn't quite get my feet underneath me. I was being held up by his hands. The time got really weird, so we're going to slow this way down. In the moment where he grabs me, where I'm being slammed into the wall initially, I guess the initial movement, my brain goes, I can't believe he did that. And then I tried to speak. I tried to say, what are you doing? I couldn't make any noise. Like, my entire consciousness was just in, like, the throat tubes. This was my entire body, if that makes any sense. I have no idea what my hands were doing. Kind of have an idea that my legs were not well grounded, but I don't know specifically where my legs were. I just didn't have a body apart from this, is how it felt. So I tried to speak. I tried to say, what are you doing? And I couldn't make any noise. And then I tried to inhale, because the last thing I had done was the which is an exhale of air. So I tried to inhale, and I couldn't inhale. I couldn't get any air in. Having attempted to speak, having attempted to breathe, with his face, his eyes, my brain did a weird thing. And I don't want to say I like this. As a writer, as a creative, I find what my brain did fascinating and horrible. It was as though you were like sitting on a park bench one day or something. You're just minding your business, and like a little old lady or something, somebody that you wouldn't be afraid of, someone you don't know, a kind stranger comes up, and they hand you a little folded up slip of paper, and they smile, and they leave. You are confused, but you open up the slip of paper, and written on the slip of paper it says how you are going to die. That was kind of what it felt like. My brain just kind of gently realized, oh, this is how I die. My whole body shut down like a fainting goat. Later in ER, they would be asking me if they wanted to take DNA samples of my fingernails and stuff to see if I'd scratched him. I don't think I scratched him. I didn't fight back. When I tell this story to Min, I had a guy make me get into the strangulation pose and then show me, like, look where my legs are. See where my legs are? Look where your crotch is. I could just knee you in the crotch. Ha ha ha. Like, I know. I know. But when it was happening, it happened so suddenly. and it was so unexpected. I hadn't processed the anger to attack this person. I don't have that passively in me. I'm not constantly fighting some impulse to strangle people. That's not That's not fucking normal. I'm not constantly in a state of wanting to attack the people around me physically. Certainly not my romantic partner, who I am very careful to not hurt. So no, like when it was happening, I didn't have enough time to process to fight back. I had barely enough time to realize what was happening. Maybe what was happening was the beginning of a slip to unconsciousness. I'm not actually sure. I just realized I was going to die, and I do vaguely remember wondering, how long will this take? Is this going to hurt? What will it be like to die? And then he dropped through, released me onto the ground. I don't really know. The next thing I remember is I'm on the ground, and he kicked me. Didn't really get me very good, but he gave it a good solid shot, kicked me, and he says, "Now you have a reason to leave." As I'm lying on the ground, gasping for air after he's kicked me about a video game. He storms off into his room, presumably to look for the video games. I think my phone was just in my hand, but I might have grabbed it. I don't know. My phone appeared in my hand, and I called my dad on speakerphone. Why didn't you call 911? First off, fuck the police. All cops are bad. If they want to stop being bad, they can stop being cops. Cop is not a protected class. You can just choose to stop being a cop. Fuck the police broadly, and fuck the Seattle police very specifically. I didn't call the police because I didn't really want them to show up and shoot everybody. I did not call the police. I called my dad on speakerphone, and I said, "Partner has just strangled me. I need you to stay on the phone until I can get out of the house." I started putting together my stuff. I packed my camping bag back up. I've been camping on the couch for 4 days, so I just packed everything back up in my bag and left out the back door with the dog. We got in the car, and I messaged some people and said what happened. They told me I needed to go to urgent care. It hadn't even occurred to me that I would need medical care for that. They had me go to urgent care. Urgent care sent me to the ER. I was in the ER for the rest of the day. I was fine, question marks. His left thumb definitely got something in my neck. They said probably it's just bruising, a little bit of bruising, abrasions, but I was fine. Got released with a diagnosis of battery by manual strangulation. That's what it says on the paperwork. They gave me some flyers for victims of crime and domestic abuse, and it didn't feel real enough for me to call them until like 6 months later. We heard nothing from him at all. He didn't say anything. We got my friend Sonia and Connor, who I've mentioned before in the story for this reason. They both showed up and were amazing. I talked to them about what happened, and I went home with Sonia and stayed with her. That was Thursday, so the day before my birthday, that I got strangled. Sonia was taking off for a trip to Alaska. While she was in Alaska, I was able to camp on her couch. It was very kind of her. The next day, I contacted the apartment manager and set up a meeting with her very carefully. I didn't tell her what was going on. I set up a little meeting with her. Me and Sonia went, and we explained the situation to her. And this is the point when I find out that our lease that he told me was until September is actually a month-to-month lease, and we could have left that apartment anytime we wanted based on what the circumstances were. She helped me get off the lease. The leasing lady and Sonia and I called and put him on speaker and told him that we were going to be coming by to get my work computer and my medication and some dog stuff. He wanted to talk about other things. He kept trying to change the topic, acting very irritated with me. And I'm like, I need to come in to get my medication and my work computer, and I need you to vacate. He said he would need 5 minutes to put on pants. And I was like, okay, you have 5 minutes to put on pants and get out of the apartment. And I hung up on him. 3 of us gave him about 10 minutes, and we walked down the hall, and I unlocked the apartment, and he was at the door. I think she might have knocked, and he came. Anyway, he was right at the door. He tried to talk to me, and then he saw that Sonia was there, and he goes, total tone change. Oh, hi, Sonia. Sonia vaporized him into dust with her laser vision. I needed to use the bathroom, so I just pushed past him and went to the bathroom. While I'm in the bathroom, seeing Sonia and the apartment manager, he calls somebody on the phone. I don't know who he called. He gave them a preamble like, you're my best and only friend, and I just need someone to talk to right now. With that preamble aside, he then immediately goes into, have you played the latest Diablo? The entire time I am moving things out of the apartment on my birthday after being strangled the previous day, he is talking to some person about a Diablo cutscene with an angel in it, what it implies for the lore, and did you know that the drop rate on chests is the same as the drop rate for monsters, so you should just open lots of chests instead of if you're looking for legendary weapons. The entire time I am moving out, he is talking about Diablo, the video game. We get all my stuff out. I'm pretty much done, but I'm like, oh shit, I forgot my bike lock. I need to go back for my bike lock. I know right where it is. He's on the phone in his office where his computer is. I will just run in there and get my bike lock and go. The second the door is open, he is already off the phone. I said the first thing which was in my head, where is the bike lock? He started trying to talk about something else and approaching me. I retreated back into the hallway. He followed me into the hallway. I retreated into the lobby. He followed me into the lobby, and then he was apprehended by Sonia and the apartment manager in the apartment lobby, where they were able to distract him with talking while I went back and got my bike lock and an extra box I'd forgotten. We left. Then he's texting me angrily, are you ready to talk about what happens next? Everything is blaming me. Everything is defensiveness. It's like I should have been able to read his mind and all these things, and I'm a terrible person. He doesn't want to do all this stuff, but he didn't want to break up with me, and I don't know, I stopped reading his shit after a while because he's just, I guess that's really the most of the story. I had to pull an unplanned move out of my ass. I had to find an apartment in Seattle that I could afford in a hurry. This is a great apartment, I love it. It's way overpriced. Getting an apartment was a huge fiasco, especially I had accepted that I was dead, and I was not dead. And I was also not at the lake. Failing to be either dead or at the lake, I just did not know what to do with myself. Still largely kind of feel like that. Cried a lot, I slept a lot. I had to move the car every single day to avoid getting tickets. He waited like a couple of days and then started love bombing me. Reading between the lines and silences of his messages, it feels like you can tell where he has gone to person after person in his life and tried to get them on his side, and then they've all told that he's wrong. You can tell when he kind of runs out of people to tell the story to, and he is like, oh shit, maybe it was actually bad to strangle my romantic partner the day before their birthday after ruining their birthday trip and then that they planned for months, and then, oh no, my glasses. Moving was a fiasco, but I managed to get moved. I got lots of help from coworkers, friends, to help have somebody with me at all times because he kept saying he would be gone at certain times and then showing up unannounced, coming back into the apartment when I'm in there, which he is obviously not supposed to be doing. At some point he realized he couldn't fuck Diablo the video game, I guess. When I finally got an apartment, was able to move, I was thinking I'm just gonna go in there, grab the few vitally important things I absolutely need, and then I'm gonna just go. By the time I got back into the apartment to move, he had taken it upon himself to go get these gigantic Home Depot boxes. He was like grabbing an object that he thought was mine. He would wrap it in a single piece of newspaper, place it in the box in a random orientation, and then he would do another one. So you had these gigantic boxes full of loosely packed random items and single sheets of newspaper, and I had to very carefully excavate everything, unwrapping it from the newspaper. Is this even fucking mine? Is it a thing I want? What is this? At least one thing broke. There was tons of stuff in there that was his or his ex's and not mine. He left a note that was like, I did this to help you. I hope you don't mind. I flipped it over. Please, I get that you're trying to be nice. Please stop, you're not helping. That apparently pissed him off, because the next time I came back, he had very angrily like ripped down curtains and stuff that I'd put up, thrown it all on the couch. I had to get past like 3 boxes of books to try and get my desk. Everything was very poorly done. I had to redo everything. I had to sort everything. I ended up taking way more stuff than what I wanted. I was on limited time there, right? We have like a couple of hours to try and get as much shit out as we can before he comes home from work. Me and some poor person I've recruited to stand around as a security guard while I try and like sift through all these boxes and stuff and take... I didn't have the time to do this slowly. And he made it so difficult, so it became more of just like, is this mine? Yes, no. And if it was mine, just take it and I'll sort it on the other side. We did it. We got most of my stuff. I lost an entire bottle of medication, prescription medication that it just vanished. I left a bunch of video games. I'm like, I don't even fucking care about video games anymore. Fuck video games. Never want to see another fucking video game again. Yeah. Anyway, there was a kayak that I left him that I thought he had paid for, because he was the one who had like picked it out, taken it to the register and everything. But it turns out I had paid for that. He had done all the everything and then got it and then been like, looked at me like, mommy, pay for my kayak. So I paid for it. It was way too expensive. He actually caught that, which is good. I wouldn't have noticed. We got it for the sale price, which was about $400. I found the receipt for it and realized it was on my card, and I was like, oh fuck, I could really use $400 right now. I just went through this horrible move. You know, I have no fucking money right now. First and last month's rent, security deposit, moving fees, all this shit right after spending all my money up getting ready for a freaking camping trip. I had a $5,000 bonus right before the camping trip, and I used it to start a family savings account that was supposed to be down payment for a house or something. He used it to pay rent. He paid rent out of that. He used my entire bonus on rent. I took $800 out of the account. That's how much I got out of it. Out of the $5,000 that I put in, $800. I gave him close to $4,000 on Venmo. Sent him that too, and he got all, I think we could find a figure amenable to boot division, pompous mode again. I don't have time for this. Just give me the fucking money for the fucking kayak. Give me a couple $1,000 so I can get on with my life. You strangled me. He sent me $400 for the kayak on some other fucking app. I refused to use Venmo. I didn't even have Venmo before I met him. He made me get Venmo to send him money. And then he can't use it to send me money. It's impossible. Pays me for the fucking kayak finally. Get my mail, and I block him. The next day, I immediately wake up to my dad telling me on a text message that my ex would like me to check my Facebook messages. I haven't touched Facebook in actual years. I have to go through a whole account recovery thing to get back into my fucking Facebook, and I just have 30-40 deleted messages from him. Great. And then I get a text message from one of the other fucking apps, you know, that uses your phone number, and he used that to get around me blocking him on my phone. He messaged me with this other stupid app. Oh, I'm starting out, take me back kind of shit. You strangled me, dude. Strangled me. He has continued. He sent me 2 different emails. He sent my dad messages. The funniest one is he sent me 3 direct messages in Guild Wars 2, a fantasy role-playing game, along with 1 gold, 4 silver, 3 copper. If you're not familiar with Guild Wars 2, that's like the Tyria equivalent of $1.15. The last contact he managed, even after Guild Wars, it was like Instagram. He sent me all these, like a bunch of videos, stuff that is for normal couples who haven't strangled one another. Should you go no contact after a breakup? You didn't cheat on me, dude. You didn't fail to do the dishes long enough that you annoyed me. I mean, you did both of those things also, and you ruined my birthday, and you ignored me in favor of video games, and you strangled me, which is a line you cannot cross. Oh, strangled me threw me on the ground, kicked me, and then said, "Now you have a reason to leave," with your human mouth. I cannot date that. This is not a normal breakup scenario, dude. All those advice things are not for you. You need to be looking at, like, I physically attacked somebody. Will they ever love me again? Probably no. No. Actually, no. I told him we got together that that's how it was going to go. If he struck me in anger, I would leave. And he remembered it enough to use it as like a fucking supervillain one-liner after strangling me and throwing me on the ground and kicking me. Oh yeah, and then when I left, he locked me out through the sliding glass door and he does this at me through the window. Oh, like, how do you think you're in the right here? How do you possibly think you're in the right? I didn't even harm big video games. I did not bury them in concrete. I did not break them. And even if I had, is this machine worth more than my human life? Are you so willing to lose me? I just don't have the words. Absolutely just bewildered. I haven't really heard from him since then. It's nice. Anyway, follow me on Patreon. I need money. Goodbye.